All right, so today we're going deep on Garcia's famous Mexican food.
Sounds delicious.
You know, we're always looking for those local spots that you think you know.
Right.
But there's more to the story.
Oh, yeah.
And I think this is a perfect example of that.
Absolutely.
And our focus is going to be on Connie and Steve Garcia.
The heart and soul of the operation.
Now, for this deep dive, we've got a few things to work with.
Okay.
We actually have a recording from Connie and Steve themselves.
Oh, wow. First-hand insight.
Yeah, really giving us their perspective on their journey.
I love that.
And the evolution of Garcia's.
Yeah.
And to round things out, we've also got some really great material that gives us like this vivid picture of what it's like to actually be there.
At the restaurant.
Yeah. So think of it like we're painting a complete picture for you today.
Okay.
So our mission with this deep dive is to give you a real understanding of Connie and Steve's story.
Okay.
The philosophies that guide Garcia's and all of those special touches that make it stand out from your average Mexican restaurant.
Beyond the usual.
Right. And we're going to try to do that without completely overwhelming you with too much information.
Of course. Manageable chunks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we're going to be looking at their individual backgrounds,
Right.
how they came together, the core beliefs that shape their food and service,
Okay.
some absolute must-try dishes.
I'm getting hungry already.
Yeah. And then a couple of surprises like their bourbon collection and the legend of Gio, their bartender.
Okay, that's a twist. I didn't expect bourbon at a Mexican restaurant.
Well, that's why we're here to uncover those little gems.
I'm intrigued.
So where do we even begin to unpack all of this?
Well, why don't we start with Steve?
Okay.
His roots in the restaurant world run deep,
Oh, yeah.
don't they?
Deep is an understatement.
Okay.
He spent 16 years working at his father's restaurant, Casa Garcia,
Wow.
down on the South Shore, starting way back in 1984.
That's a serious commitment.
Right. It wasn't just like a summer job or anything.
No.
He was fully immersed in it. And to make things even more interesting, his uncle owned Pancho's Mexican Buffet.
Oh, wow. So it's a family affair.
You could say that the restaurant business is practically in his DNA.
Born into it.
Exactly.
So what do you think someone gains from that kind of early total immersion?
I think it's more than just learning the ropes. It's like absorbing the whole culture of the restaurant industry.
Right, like osmosis.
Yeah, it shapes the way you think about food service, customers, everything.
Absolutely. And you see it all firsthand, the good, the bad, the ugly.
Right, and you develop this intuition for what works and what doesn't
Yeah.
that you can't really get from a textbook.
I imagine it's like a master class in restaurant operations, but in real life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So then fast forward to the early 2000s,
Okay.
and Steve and Connie decided to make a move to the North Shore.
Big change.
Big change. And Steve talked about how a big driver for that was wanting a better environment to raise their young family.
Makes sense.
But there was also this interesting observation he made that good, authentic Mexican food is kind of hard to come by up here.
It's funny how sometimes those everyday needs can spark a whole new venture.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Like they saw a gap in the culinary landscape and they were like, let's fill it.
It's a classic entrepreneurial story.
So they opened their first North Shore spot in Mandeville in 2004.
Okay.
And they call it Casa Garcia.
Okay.
Initially kind of as an extension of his father's brand.
Keeping it in the family.
Yeah. But we all know that the road to success is rarely a straight line.
Oh, definitely. Tell me about it.
So Steve actually talked about some of the real challenges they faced in Mandeville.
Like what?
Well, particularly there were road changes that really impacted their visibility and accessibility.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And it led to like a 40% drop in their income.
That's huge.
Yeah, it's a big hit. And then there was this almost funny observation he made about being located a mile from the lake
Okay.
and realizing that, you know, fish don't really eat Mexican food.
Makes sense.
So they weren't exactly their target demographic.
Not the ideal location, I guess.
Right, not the ideal location.
So, what do you think those kinds of setbacks teach someone in the restaurant business?
I think it forces you to be resourceful and resilient.
You have to think on your feet for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it really makes you appreciate the importance of things like location and really understanding your community.
And being adaptable
Yeah, being adaptable.
to those unforeseen challenges.
And that's exactly what they did in 2012
Okay.
when the opportunity came up to relocate to Covington.
Their current spot.
Yes, their current spot.
Okay.
And they used that as a chance to rebrand as Garcia's famous Mexican food.
So a fresh start.
Yes. Steve even described it as hitting the reset button.
I like that. A clean slate.
And it seems like that fresh start was exactly what they needed.
Yeah.
They've built this rock-solid reputation. a fiercely loyal customer base.
You can tell they have a real connection with their regulars.
Oh, absolutely. It comes through so genuinely when they talk about them.
What do you think is the key to building that kind of lasting loyalty in the restaurant world?
I think it's about consistency and trust.
Yeah.
Customers need to know they can count on the quality of the food, the service, every single time.
Every time.
Every time.
It's about exceeding expectations consistently.
And speaking of consistency, it sounds like Connie plays a huge role in that, especially on the service side.
Which brings us to how these two culinary masterminds came together, right?
Yeah.
How did their paths intertwine?
Well, Connie's version of the story is that she was hired by Steve as a waitress. After graduating from LSU, she had tried a job in Texas, but realized it wasn't the right fit.
It happens.
It does.
Yeah.
So she moved back home to regroup and figure things out.
Okay.
And needed a job.
Yeah.
And with her experience, waitressing Garcia's just seems like a practical choice.
So it wasn't like a love at first sight kind of situation.
Not initially, no.
But sometimes the most meaningful partnerships start in the most unexpected ways.
Exactly. It wasn't a fairy tale romance.
Right.
But their partnership has definitely stood the test of time.
35 years together.
35 years. That's incredible.
That's impressive.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now, of course, they're partners in every sense of the word running this restaurant together.
Correct. It makes you wonder how their different professional backgrounds complement each other in running Garcia's.
I think it's a perfect blend of skills.
Yeah.
You've got Steve with this deep culinary knowledge from years in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And then you have Connie with her understanding of customer interaction, sales, business operations.
It's like they each bring a critical piece to the puzzle.
And together they create this well-rounded leadership team. Now let's talk about the restaurant itself. They mentioned rebranding from Casa Garcia. What was the reasoning behind that? Well, Steve explained that the name Casa was becoming a little too common.
Ah, I see too many Casa something restaurants out there.
Exactly. And it was creating confusion for customers.
Right.
They really wanted to establish their own unique identity.
So Garcia's famous Mexican food, it's straightforward, it's memorable.
It tells you exactly what you're getting.
No confusion there.
And Connie described their concept as upscale Tex-Mex with grandma influences.
Okay, that sounds interesting. So it's a step up from your typical casual Mexican joint,
Exactly.
but with that comforting home-cooked feel.
Yes. And that comes from their commitment to tradition.
Okay.
They really emphasize that their recipes come straight from Steve's grandmother, Mama Sarita's recipe book.
Wow, so these are tried and true family recipes.
The same recipes his father used at Casa Garcia.
Generations of culinary wisdom.
It's like family heritage on a plate.
I love that.
But Steve also had his own ideas, things he felt were maybe underutilized at his father's restaurant.
Ah, so he wanted to put his own spin on things.
And Garcia's gave him the platform to innovate, which led to their signature turkey fajitas.
Okay, so it's a blend of honoring the past and embracing new ideas.
Exactly.
Now, turkey fajitas, that's not something you see every day.
Right. It's unique and it's delicious.
What makes them so special?
Well, first of all, they marinate the turkey in this amazing cilantro lime blend
Okay.
that's made fresh daily in small batches.
So no cutting corners there.
Absolutely not. And they actually believe they're the only restaurant nationwide with turkey fajitas on the menu.
Wow, that's a bold claim.
It is a bold claim, but I believe it.
So if I were to visit Garcia's for the first time, what would they recommend I try?
Oh, they would absolutely tell you to ask for a sample of the turkey fajitas.
They're that confident.
They are that confident.
Okay, I'm sold. I'm adding that to my list.
And beyond the turkey fajitas, you've got to try the chili rellenos.
Okay, another class.
Made directly from Mama Sarita's original recipe.
So we're talking authentic here.
And here's what's really fascinating.
Okay.
The woman who makes their chili rellenos learned the recipe directly from Mama Sarita.
Wow.
And she's been making them for 37 years.
37 years. That's incredible.
That's dedication.
It really speaks to their commitment to quality and tradition.
Right. It's not just about the recipe. It's about the person who's making it, the expertise they bring.
Absolutely. And I love that Connie took the time to explain the different fillings, like the meat filling with ground beef raisins, almonds, and cinnamon.
Ah, yeah, that sounds amazing.
Such a unique blend of flavors.
It does. And then, of course, you have the cheese option, too.
A classic.
So really something for everyone.
If you had to pick one dish that truly represents the spirit of Garcia's, what would it be?
I think it has to be the turkey fajitas.
Yeah.
It embodies that blend of tradition and innovation.
The cilantro lime marinade is the star of the show.
And it's all made from scratch.
That's key.
They're really adamant about that no pre-made sauces or dressings. Everything is made in-house.
I respect that.
It makes a difference. You can taste it.
Freshness, quality all the way.
Now, let's talk about the overall dining experience they want to create for their customers.
Okay.
They have this philosophy they call the 3 Ps pie.
I like that it's a nice analogy.
It is.
So what are the 3 essential pieces that make a great restaurant in their eyes?
The first piece is the vibe and the atmosphere.
Okay, the ambiance.
They've put a lot of effort into making the restaurant beautiful, spacious, and clean with nice decor lighting.
Those are the basics, but they're important.
They are.
Yeah.
And of course, they made sure it's in a convenient location with plenty of parking.
Practical considerations.
Right, because who wants to be circling the block for 20 minutes trying to find the parking spot?
Exactly.
And something that really stood out to me in the material we had was the mention of their immaculate kitchen.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was described as the cleanest kitchen ever seen.
That's impressive.
That gives you a sense of their standards behind the scenes.
Absolutely. If they take that much pride in their kitchen, the food is going to be good.
So that's piece number 1.
Okay.
Piece number 2, the taste of the food.
Of course, the most important piece.
Arguably the most important piece.
Yeah.
And again, they come back to Mama Sarita's recipes. The commitment to making everything from scratch in small batches, using fresh ingredients.
Freshness is key.
They even talked about choosing high-quality ingredients like using beef tallow for frying and butter for grilling meats.
Instead of cheaper alternatives.
Right. They're not cutting corners. They're not sacrificing quality to save a few bucks.
It's about respecting the ingredients and the customer.
And that brings us to the third piece of the pie service.
Okay, the human element.
For Connie and Steve, it's all about hiring the right people. People who enjoy their jobs and fostering this supportive Garcia family atmosphere.
Creating a positive work environment.
They have incredibly low staff turnover.
Which is rare in the restaurant industry.
Very rare. And it's not unusual for former employees to come back and help out.
That says a lot.
It does.
Yeah.
Connie's very hands-on with training. She sets high standards.
She's got to maintain that consistency.
Right. But she also describes her approach as strict, but fair and consistent.
So it's a balanced approach.
It is.
Yeah.
So you know exactly what's expected of you.
And that consistency in service is just as important as consistency in the food.
It creates that sense of reliability that customers appreciate.
Absolutely. They want to know what they're going to get every time they walk through the door.
Now, are there any little traditions or special touches at Garcia's that stand out to you?
Well, their famous spicy bean dip definitely comes to mind.
It's a classic.
It's a tradition that started with Steve's father.
Offering both salsa and bean dip at the table, complimentary.
It's a nice touch.
And they even have this fun neon sign that says bean there. Done that.
I love that it's playful, it's memorable.
It adds to the character of the place.
Absolutely.
And those little touches make a big difference.
They show that they care about the details.
And speaking of showing they care, they also offer daily discounts for military, police, and firefighters.
A nice way to give back to the community.
And they've even been known to do these random acts of kindness for their regular customers, like covering their meals during December.
Wow, that's really going above and beyond.
It builds a sense of loyalty and connection that goes beyond just being a customer.
It's about creating a community.
Now let's talk about something you might not expect to find at a Mexican restaurant, their bourbon selection.
Yeah, this caught my attention too.
Steve is a serious bourbon connoisseur,
Okay.
and their collection is truly impressive.
Like, how impressive are we talking?
They have over 100 selections of bourbon and tequila combined.
Wow, that's a serious collection.
It rivals what you might find at a high-end steakhouse.
That's saying something.
Some of the names they mentioned include Buffalo, Trace Blanton's, Elijah Craig's Small Batch, and even a private barrel selection.
They're not messing around.
Four Roses, Angel's Envy, Willet Small Batch. I mean, the list goes on.
So they've got something for every bourbon lover.
And, of course, they have a fantastic selection of tequilas, too.
Naturally.
But that bourbon focus is what really sets them apart.
It's unexpected, and it shows that they're not afraid to be different.
I think it speaks to Steve's vision for Garcia's.
He wants to create a unique experience.
Exactly. Something beyond the typical expectations of a Mexican restaurant.
And for those of us who love a good deal, what about their happy hour and daily specials?
They got some great options. Their lunch specials run every day, including Saturdays from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m.
That's a generous window for lunch specials.
It is, and it's a mix and match. You can choose 2 or 3 items like a tamale flauta taco enchilada with various fillings.
Okay.
And it all comes with rice and beans.
Sounds like a good deal.
And their happy hour runs from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. on those same days.
So plenty of opportunities to enjoy some discounted drinks and food.
And they have a special lunch margarita, a mini margarita for just $5.
$5 margaritas, sign me up.
That's available from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., and their house margarita is just $7 during happy hour.
Those are some tempting prices.
Now, another name that kept coming up in our research was Gio, their bartender.
Oh, yes. Gio, he sounds like a legend.
He's been there for 9 years,
That's impressive longevity in the restaurant industry.
especially for a bartender.
He must be doing something right.
He's known for remembering regulars' orders without them even having to ask.
Well, that's good service.
And he's built this loyal following of patrons who come in specifically to see him.
It's like Cheers, but for margaritas.
Exactly. He creates that sense of community and familiarity.
That personal touch that makes people feel welcome.
And you can find him there Tuesday through Saturday.
Good to know.
So it seems like Connie and Steve are also open to off-menu requests, and they've even been inspired by their customers and staff.
I love that they're willing to be flexible and creative.
They mentioned a customer who specifically requested fried tamales cooked in their beef tallow.
Okay, now that's a unique request.
It is, but they were happy to accommodate.
Just for them.
And the Turkey Street Pizza, which you've tried,
Oh, it's delicious.
was actually inspired by the waitstaff experimenting with ingredients.
So it's a team effort.
And it was so popular that it earned a permanent spot on the menu.
I can see why.
It's that delicious combination of white cheese, cilantro, raw onion on their signature turkey fajita pizza.
It's a winning combination.
You also have tacos al pastor and a pork al pastor street pizza.
Okay, another twist on the classic.
This one's made with adobo spiced grilled pork, tenderloin onions, peppers, and pineapple,
Sounds amazing.
and even a grilled brisket sandwich on a jalapeno sourdough bun,
Okay, that's getting creative.
which was actually inspired by a regular customer suggestion.
So they're really listening to their customer.
They are. They're always looking for ways to improve and evolve.
Now, having been in the restaurant industry for so long, they must have learned a few lessons along the way.
Oh, definitely.
What's one piece of wisdom they'd share with someone thinking of getting into the business?
Well, Connie's initial reaction was don't do it.
I can understand that.
But Steve offered a more practical piece of advice.
Okay, what's that?
Don't cut corners. Always buy the top brand.
Quality over quantity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he used a very specific example, the sweeteners they offer for unsweet tea.
Okay.
He said if a restaurant is skimping on something as noticeable as offering generic sweeteners instead of Splenda or Equal,
I see his point.
then it makes you wonder where else they might be cutting corners.
With less obvious ingredients.
It's about that commitment to quality at every level.
Attention to detail, even the smallest things, can make a difference.
Connie also stressed the importance of consistency in everything they do.
In the food and the service.
Right, the preparation, the plating, the quality, the portion sizes, and of course the service.
It's about creating a predictable experience in a good way.
Exactly. Customers appreciate that reliability.
Now, the restaurant industry has gone through some major changes in recent years.
Oh, yeah.
What are some of the shifts that Connie and Steve have observed?
One of the biggest challenges they talked about is the difficulty in finding reliable labor on the North Shore.
It's a common problem these days.
It's been amplified since the COVID-19 pandemic.
Right.
And they actually noted a real difference between the North Shore and the South Shore,
Interesting.
where they used to have a much larger pool of applicants.
So it's a regional issue as well.
Yeah, and they're also concerned about what they see as a decline in service levels at some establishments.
Which they attribute to a lack of training.
Exactly. And that really underscores how important their focus on staff development is.
It's an investment in their business and their employees.
And they made an interesting point about not reducing their portion sizes despite rising inflation.
Which is something a lot of restaurants are doing.
Right, they're committed to providing value to their customers.
But they did have to start charging for to-go chips, salsa, and bean dip.
Yeah, which was a tough decision,
But a necessary one.
given the rising cost of ingredients.
It's about finding ways to adapt and stay afloat.
Now, beyond their core menu of Tex-Mex favorites, do they offer any other options?
I'm curious to know what else they have up their sleeve.
Well, they do catering, and their drop-off fajita bars are very popular.
Especially with businesses.
Yeah, especially in the pharmaceutical industry for lunch programs.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
And for those who might not be in the mood for Mexican food, they also have burgers made with fresh ground beef, grilled, and served on a jalapeno sourdough bun.
That's a nice option to have.
And surprisingly, they also offer baby back ribs that are slow cooked.
Baby back ribs at a Mexican restaurant, who knew?
They've actually gotten some really great reviews, even compared to dedicated rib joints.
So they're branching out and showing their culinary range.
They're not afraid to experiment and cater to a wider range of tastes.
Well, it's clear that Connie and Steve have poured their hearts and souls into Garcia's famous Mexican food.
Absolutely. It's a testament to their hard work, their commitment to quality, and their genuine passion for hospitality.
We've seen how Steve's lifelong experience in the restaurant world combined with Connie's expertise in the front of house has created something truly special.
It's a true partnership.
And their dedication to fresh ingredients, those unique family recipes, and those unexpected touches like the bourbon selection all contribute to the charm of Garcia's.
It's a place with a story, a philosophy, and a soul.
And for our listeners out there, remember those signature dishes, the turkey fajitas, the chili rellenos? Ask for a sample.
You won't be disappointed.
And don't forget to say hello to Gio at the bar.
He'll take good care of you.
So as you think about your next dining experience, consider this. What are the stories behind the places you choose to eat?
It's not just about the food. It's about the people, the passion, the dedication that goes into creating a memorable experience.
So next time you're deciding where to go, think beyond the menu and consider the atmosphere, the food, and the service.
All three pieces of the pie.
What will you discover about what truly makes a restaurant exceptional?
It's food for thought.
Literally and figuratively. Until next time, stay hungry, my friends.